What's up? See, someone else is here. Who we got here? We'll wait. We'll wait just a little bit for a few more people to show up. Maybe. Oh, we got a couple. Okay. All right. If y'all want to hit me up in the chat, let me know who you are. That'd be cool. If not, that's cool too. Um, we'll give it just another minute or two. Hmm. Well, whoever's there is with me. If Charles, that's you. What's up, Charles? If not, let's dive in. Let me get this bad boy down. Let's see. Cool. So pretty much before a few things. Got my strings. Got my Tri-Flow. If you don't know what Tri-Flow is, it's just a lubricant that doesn't have any like heavy binding agents in it, so it'll keep it won't gunk up or anything later on. Once some dirt gets in there, it's pretty easy to wash out. A couple paper towels, string winder and cutter will definitely make your life easier. And let's see, and the tuner. Where's my tuner? Let's see if we can keep this in the shot somewhere. Go like maybe we'll just scoot everything over a little bit. All right, well, you can't really see the tuner that. There we go. That's better. Although I can't see the headstock. Scoot this over a little bit more. So first thing I like to do is I'm just going to remove all the strings because we're going to give it a little wipe down and lube it up just a little bit. So I don't think it matters where you start from. I start from the top, and I'm just going to unwind all of them. And I go with D'Addario's because I just like the gauges on the light string pack. It's the let's see, which one is it? It's the blue one, the 11/38. And then they also, you can like rack up points and get free sets of strings, and you can also turn in your old strings to get new ones. I think like turn in like 5 pounds worth. And they'll give you a bunch of points to get some new strings. And then I'll just roll it back up and put it in my dead strings box. And then whenever I'm unwinding, I try to keep in mind that I want the tuner to be in a place where it's easy to hook the next string onto. We're gonna just do it that. So I'll take the second one off now. You can kind of pull the tension out of it to help unwind it. Let me see if I can get you a little close up on that. So I've got pretty much, once I'm done unwinding it, I've got the hole angled up just a little bit this way. So once I got that, you know, that bend in the next string, that bend in the next string, it's just going to hook right back into that same hole. It's going to be nice and in place. Make the stringing part go by a little bit quicker. Wind it up. Next one. If y'all have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the chat. But for the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to be just taking the strings off. Oh, there's Charles. Your low B keeps going out of tune. Should I cut that string longer when fitting it? Make my third string a little longer. So, like, when you say it's going out of tune, are you talking about like while you're playing it, or like when you come back to your guitar after it sits for a minute? Because that could just be like your actual machine issue if it's not working right. Well, we can try fixing it with how we actually string it. In general, I cut all my strings about the same length. Yeah, when you come back to your guitar. I cut all my strings the same length, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But I usually go about 1.5 to 2 inches past the tuner. Right, so we can kind of show you right now. So, right, so there's the end of the fifth string tuner, and then maybe about 2 inches past it is where I'll cut it. So that could be a start. If there's just way too much slack in the string, or just maybe how you're stringing it. But we'll definitely get into that. All right, 5 more. All right, for those just joining us, we're just taking the strings off. I like to take them all off so we can wipe the guitar down a little bit, hit it with some lube, and just easier to get to everything with all the strings off. You don't have to pick the string before you detune it. I just like hearing the sound. Makes me happy. So we do that every time. And we're getting there. And just normally I change my strings like every month. Kind of depends on like tour schedule. Sometimes they have to put in a little more work than they should, but these D'Addarios will last at least a good 3-4 weeks, depending on how much you play, how often they're changing temperature. And the way I kind of judge how dead they are is by how easy it is to make natural harmonics on it. Because sometimes it's kind of hard to tell when it starts losing its tone. But when you start like trying to hit a little harmonic when you're tuning and it's becomes harder than usual, that's a pretty good sign that the strings are losing their tone. And at that point, you're going to start having issues with staying in tune and all that. To compensate. So Charles is saying the low B string is a thicker gauge. What gauge are you using on it? So I think what are they usually 17s? Let me look. No, 20s. No, fifth string is 17. Yeah. Let me know what that string gauge is and string a little longer. Yeah, it's possible maybe leaving it a little bit longer if it's like If you're using the same string sets, then no, I don't think that would be the answer. Um, okay, so we got the strings off. I'm just gonna wipe the fretboard down. This is just a dry paper towel. I'm gonna go through the rollers and just kind of run it across. Try to pick up some of that dirt that just gets caught in the rollers just from being out of its case. Just trying to live. Maybe like every 6 months or something, I'll actually take the rollers out and do a little bit more of a thorough job cleaning them. But I feel like I've done that recently. My rollers aren't gauged. I think they're all the same. So even if you get them mixed up, no big deal. We'll get in the headstock there a little bit. And then kind of the same thing down here at the changer end. I'm just going to try to pick up some of that dirt. There's a bunch of dirt there. And it's just, dirt that's getting caught in the lube that has to be there. So it's going to be like this, no big deal. We'll add some more lube in a bit to kind of knock out some of the rest of that dirt that we can't just wipe up. As far as underneath the guitar, there's usually like a heavy grease in the main parts that you can add some lube to, just to kind of knock the dirt out. But in general, you don't really need to lube down there. Maybe like once a year, add just a tiny bit. But the main thing is just the changer, right? That's the most important part. Okay, so we just kind of cleaned up the rollers and the changer a little bit. Got some of the dirt off the fretboard. The second paper towel is for when we're adding the lube. So I just got my Tri-Flow. I don't know if you need to shake it up, probably not. I'm going to add just a little bit to each part, each finger of the changer, right? So just one drop in between each finger. May seem like a lot, but kind of the point is that we want it to run through and kind of pick up some of the dirt on its way down and out of the guitar. Oh, hey, David, we got David here. You got your first pedal steel 2 months ago. Royal Precision, very nice. Awesome. Yeah, those are great guitars. Your GM should never use lube, should never need. Yeah, so what it's talking about is some of the parts underneath the guitar, not at the actual changer, have like a heavy grease in there that you really shouldn't ever have to lube, but you can if it gets like really dirty. But I've never heard of a guitar that the changer doesn't need some kind of lube every once in a while to keep it, keep the fingers moving freely, right? Because I don't, you can't put anything too heavy in there that's permanent, like a big grease in there, because it would just take up too much space. But I mean, I've been wrong about other things before, but no, I've never. You might look at those instructions again, see if it's talking specifically about something else, like pedal attachments, that kind of thing. Okay, and then we're gonna add tiny bit of lube to the rollers. The main thing is like we want to get it on the bar so that the rollers are spinning nice and easy. It's not so much that like we need it between the strings and the rollers, right? Now that I did that, I'm gonna have a hell of a time getting these back in. We did it. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna hit it with a little bit in between the rollers. Not as much as we did at the changer. And then I'm just going to spin the rollers a little bit. So hopefully some of that oil gets in between the bar and the rollers, and we'll pick up a little bit more dirt on while we do that. Cool. So that's really all I do. I don't lube it every time, usually like every 3 months, and then maybe every 6 months to a year, actually take the rollers out, go underneath the guitar, and so forth. Okay. So now we got our strings. We're ready to start doing that. Oh, where's my chart? Okay, so we got silver and purple going first, 1 and 2. Another nice thing about D'Addarios is that, like those, with the player circle code, like that, you turn those in, get points. Is that you can buy single strings. I don't get a lot of breaks with them, but you can use those points to buy single strings. So I get like an extra 3rd and 5th string for every few packs I buy. Oh, hey, what's up, Keith? Fellow Okie here. Started following you when you were in Taos. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Angel. I rode my bike through Angel Fire a few times doing the Enchanted Circle, and that was definitely cool. And also the Vietnam Memorial, super cool place to check out. I took my uncle, a Vietnam vet, there, and he really enjoyed it too. What part of Oklahoma are you from? I feel like maybe we've talked about this before. Okay, so we're doing. Oh God, we're doing silver first. Okay, so let me see if we can get a little bit better. Oh, you're in OKC, right on. Yeah, I grew up in Crown Heights, so lived there till I was 18. So I'm just gonna put the ball end on, and let's see. Maybe I need to go up a little bit higher. There we go. Okay. So it's going to the first tuner. Going to the first tuner. So we're going to go 2 tuners past. So there's the second tuner and the third tuner. So I'm going to cut it right where that third tuner is. And then I'm just going to take the end and maybe about a centimeter, give it about that much, right? Maybe not even the length of a nail. Okay. Put it back on. Let's see, this is a terrible angle. Let me figure something out here. I'm sorry. This is first. We'll get better at doing this. Maybe we can do this monthly or something. Okay. Hold on. Lights. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. Gonna get that ball back in there. All right, we got the bend in it. Right, we already talked about when we unstring it, we leave it to a place where it just hooks in real nice. And now I'm going to use my thumb and kind of pull some tension onto it so that I don't need my hand over here on the ball end. And then now we're going to get real technical right here. Let's see. Where'd my string go? Okay. So this string, once it's in its roller, is going to be, the roller is outside, and by outside I mean that way from where the string actually hooks in. So when we're done stringing it, we want all the strings to be as straight as possible from where it hits the roller and then goes into the actual machine head. So since the roller is inside, our last our last wind is going to be on the outside. So it sounds kind of confusing first, but I'm just going to wind it just a little bit. And hopefully you can see that I have two choices. I can wind it, I can bring the string that way. Let me see. Bring the string that way. And that way the part of the string that's sticking up, I can wind the string on the inside of that, or I can wind the string on the outside, inside of it. So we want it to end on the inside. So we're going to do one wind where it's on the outside. And then once it gets around, we're going to bring it back over and do another half wind to where now it's on the inside. All right, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you're being able to see this. And then once it's on the inside, then we're just going to keep winding it. Shit, actually, I messed it up. There we go. I'm just going to want to let it fall into that roller. And I'm just going to keep some tension on the string until the eventually you're going to feel the changer finger move back out. There, it just happened. And now I can start to kind of let go. And then I'm just going to slowly bring it up to the F sharp. So we got our F sharp string done. Let's see if I can get like real zoomed in on that. Maybe if I can hit it with some flashlight. Does that make it worse? Anyway, so we started winding on the inside, right? And we did one wind on the inside, crossed it over, finished it out on the outside. So now it's going as straight as we can from the roller down into the machine head. And that's what we're going to do with each one. If you're not sure which way is the straightest, in general, if you've got like a normal key head, I would say pretty much anyone except maybe if you got a Williams, they have kind of short key heads and it might be a little different. Oh, God, dropped my string. It's going to go inside, inside, out, 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 in. So the first two, you do the first wrap on the outside, the rest on the in, and then the others will be first wrap on the inside, rest on the out. Okay. So we're just going to repeat that process. I'll explain it one more time, and then we'll just kind of truck through, I think, after that. So again, you can hook the ball end, pull it over. Right, we're going to go 2 tuners past the one we're hooking it into. All right, so there's the second one. Third, fourth is where we're going to cut it. Get a little centimeter bend in there. All right. And then hook it in. Hopefully the tuner's already in position like we talked about. I'm going to use my thumb, put some tension into it. Now my right hand is free to grab the spinny thing. And again, we're going to go one wind on the outside, cross it over, and do the rest on the inside. So you can see after we get that far, so it's not like the string isn't laying down on itself, right? There's a point where it's not quite a full turn all the way through where there's going to be a gap, right? And that's where I cross it over. And now it's on the inside. And so now there's a wrap on the outside and the inside, and the end of the string is sticking up in between both of them. I'm just going to keep tension on the string as I wind it up more. Keep going until you feel that change your finger snap back in, which it just did. Another thing, I guess I forgot to say the first time, is that we want to make sure we got our string back in its little groove, nice and lined up also. So we want to do that before we bring it fully to pitch. And I'm just going to keep winding it up to a D sharp. Okay, now as we add strings, God, that's really bad. We know, you might be aware of the concept of cabinet drop, that as one string increases tension, other ones start becoming detuned. So as we add strings, each time we add a new string, the string before it is going to get detuned, and then we're just going to bring it back to pitch. And on top of that, it's also going to be detuned because it's just getting used to being at that tension. And I forgot to line this one up a little bit. So we can scoot that over. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to tune the first string again. All right, so we got 2 done. And time for the third. And again, nothing special about the third one, Charles. We're going to do exactly what we did with the first 2. Again, hook the ball end. Pull it across. There's the third tuner, 3, 4, 5. We're going to cut it at the 5th tuner. Put a little bend. All right. Hook it in. Thumb. And then we're going to get that. So this one's the first one where it's different. We want the last turn to be on the inside. So our first one's going to be on the outside. Right, so we're going to give it kind of a quarter turn. As soon as it gets past the end of the string, cross it over. And now it's getting wound on the inside. And just keep some pressure so you feel that change your finger going. Maybe you just heard that. That was the change your finger. So now we can start going a little bit slower and let it get into the roller. Come back, double check, make sure this is all nice and lined up over here. Looking good. And now I'm just going to bring it to a G sharp. Needs a little bit more. You don't want to go super fast, but you also don't need to go slow. These strings are made to get to that G sharp. I know it's kind of scary, but you just got to have faith. back to G sharp. Then we're going to go back and tune the first two again, because they will have fallen flat from the added tension of the third string now. All right, 3 down. Did that answer any questions, Charles? Get the fourth one hooked. So of course there aren't 6 tuners here, so we're going to go 4, 5, and then just imagine a 6th tuner where it would be cut there. And then the rest of these will be the same. First wind will go on the inside, and the rest on the out. Oh, God. There we go. All right. One wind on the inside, cross it over, rest on the outside. Keep tension on it. Change your finger moved. Now we're going to get it into the roller. Go back to the end. Check to make sure it's still nice and lined up. Looks good. Now bring it to pitch. All right, we got it to the E. Now we're going to go back and tune the first 3. Okay, 5th string. The top 5 all feel pretty much the same when you're tuning them. I will say the 6th string gets to pitch a lot quicker than the rest. But we'll get there in just a minute. Charles said putting bends in the string ends will help with the 3rd string. Yeah, and then like I said, just keeping that tension into it while you're tuning it, so that maybe there's not some slack getting in there at some point. I'm not quite sure how that would happen, but just keeping a more snug wind could definitely help. Okay, this string. Boom. And with this one, we're going to have to imagine 2 tuners. There's the 5th one, 6, 7. We'll cut it somewhere about there. Get our bend. Hook it in. Then again, getting a little repetitive, but first wind on the inside of the end of the string. As soon as it crosses past, bring it to the other side. Easy enough. Then we're just going to bring it to pitch. Keep winding until we feel the changer move. Finger just moved. Get it into the roller. Double check the back end. Sometimes what happens is that the actual, see if we can get it in here. The actual red, the ball end will move away from where it's hooking onto, and we want to make sure those are nice and secure in there too. Because once we get it to tune or to pitch, that's going to be, you're pretty much going to have to totally detune the string to adjust that, or risk breaking it. So yeah, so I just go back and kind of make sure those are pushed in and that it's nice and lined up before I totally bring it to pitch. All right, now we can bring it up to a B. Got the B, go back and tune the others. Yeah, so that's one thing before, like, you just like string all of them and then tune it and then start mashing pedals. Is this way is a little easier on the strings, giving them time to, you bring it up to pitch, then the next string kind of detunes it, so it gets a little more time to settle in to being under tension, rather than just stringing the whole guitar and, like you would on a strict string, like bending the strings and all that. This way they just get to kind of settle in while you're stringing the rest of the guitar, and this seems to work out for me pretty well. Okay, now like we talked about with the sixth string, the heavier the gauge gets, the less tension, right, it needs to go to pitch, right? Obviously. So that also means the less we're going to need to turn it. So we've kind of been used to like giving it a bunch of winds to get it to pitch. Once we get to the sixth string, you're going to really notice how many fewer winds it's going to take. So we want to be careful not to overtune the G sharp string and just ruin it right out of the gate. So we cut it, right, a couple tuners back, got to imagine them. And we're on the other side of the key head now. But same idea, right? Gonna hook it in, use our thumb to bring some tension. And same thing, we're still gonna do one wrap on the inside, cross it over, the rest on the outside. Yep. So we got our wrap on the inside, cross it over, wrap on the outside. Got it. Now we can add a little bit more. Finger change removed. All right, gonna go back and make sure the ball end's still on there. And like I said, this one we're just gonna go a bit slower because it's gonna get the pitch a lot quicker. All right, it's in the end, nice and lined up. This one I might even do the rest part by hand. All right, go back and tune the others. You have to go to the dentist and change your strings. Yeah, I mean, I try to do it every month, and when you do it every month, like anything else, you get better at it. And if I can knock a string change out in about 10 minutes at this point, at least on one neck. So it becomes less of a deal, and it's always, every time I change my strings, I'm glad I did it because it just sounds so much better. I mean, even like these D'Addarios, they sound great, and even in a month, they sound pretty good. But when you put a fresh set on, it's just like, oh man, and when you're playing for a crowd, they deserve the fresh strings, right? You want them to get the full experience. So you give them the fresh strings. Okay. String 7, nothing really different with the wound strings. We're going to do the same process. Hook it, pull it. Let's go into the 7th tuner. So So we're going to imagine 2 passed, 1, 2, cut it right there. Same amount of bend at the end. Hook it in, thumb, and 1 turn on the inside. Got it. Cross it over. And on the outside. It's in the roller. We're going to go back and check to make sure that it's still nice and lined up. Looks good. Bring it to pitch. Cool. Go back and tune the others. Yeah, when you're saying it's sliding out of the hole, I also think it could kind of depend on how you're winding it. Really try this new method where you get 1 wind on the inside, because what happens is once you bring it to tension, right? If this is the end of the string and this is 1 wind and this is 1 wind, once you bring it to tension, it's going to just pinch right the end of that string. So that's why we do that. If I didn't explain that, because you could just stick it in and then wind and wind and wind and wind, and it's going to work. But the way we're doing it this way, it's going to have tension on both sides of the string, just locking it in place instead of having the tension just on one side pushing against the actual machine head, right? Oh God, that sucks. Okay, 8th string. So this is the last one where we're gonna do the winds inside then outside. The rest are gonna go outside then inside after this. But again, it's going in the 8th tuner, go 2 back, cut it there. Get our bend. Hook it in, thumb. Get some tension in there. All right. So again, inside, cross it over, outside. Change your finger moved. Now we got it in the roller. Go back and check to make sure it's lined up. So here, let's see if I can get a nice shot there. So maybe you can see that the this ball end, see it's not all the way pushed in. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm just going to take my finger and just push it right up against the changer, right? And then again, we'll just make sure it's nice and lined up in the middle. And then we'll finish bringing it to pitch. Cool. All right. 2 more. Home stretch. Let's see, what is ninth is red. Okay. Tenth is brass. Huh. Okay. All right, ninth string. Get in. And even at these heavier string gauges, what did I do with my string winder? Oh god. Lose it. Okay, he's playing a trick on me. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, even with these heavier string gauges, you can go a little bit less than the two tuners in front, but not a lot. Maybe like 1.5, just because there's going to be not as much space to wrap it. But we still want enough to get at least a couple wraps. So we're going to do 1.5 there. Same amount of bend in it. Really, you just want enough bend that it gets through, and there's enough for when we wrap it to keep the strings from sliding back and forth, right? And that could be part of your problem too, Charles, is that you're not getting enough string through it. But we also don't want so much that when we're winding it, the string end is like scraping the body of the guitar every time it comes through, right? So that's why about a centimeter seems to work for me. But I'm just eyeballing it too. All right, getting the tension. All right, remember what we talked about? The rollers are now on the inside of the tuners. So now we're going to wrap them the opposite. We're going to do one wrap on the outside, then cross it back, and wrap the rest on the inside. Heard the changer move. Get it in that roller. Go back and check to make sure it's lined up. Looking good, and we'll bring it to pitch. Cool, go back and tune the others. And last one. I came in on string 6 and I plan to rewatch what I missed. Can you please explain the reason for starting on string 1 as opposed to the larger gauges? I don't have a reason for it. I think it's easier as far as just like as far as being able to get to like getting your fingers in the right spots. But I don't think it matters if you want to start with 10 and go this way. That's fine. I guess one reason I like doing the light strings first is because, like we talked about, while I'm stringing, as I'm working my way down the strings, my higher strings are getting just some time to just kind of sit in its new tension. And then each time I add the new string, I get to add a little bit more tension back into the higher strings. And those are the ones that are, of course, at higher risk of breaking. So they just get some more time being at tension without me pressing on my pedals and messing with them, So that's why I do the high strings first. We got 10 hooked. Gonna go from 10 to 8. Cut it there. Get our bend. Hi, Mom. Okay. Again, right? And especially on the first tuner and the 10th tuner, you can really see how far inside the roller is from the actual hole that the string goes in. So that's pretty obvious that we need to do that first rep on the inside, rest on the outside. And just to kind of explain that again, is that we want the strings to be as straight as possible from where they go from the roller and enter. So that's why we change which side of the string we wrap on. Go back and line that up. Looks good. All right, we got our B. Just going to go back and tune all of them again. Yeah, so Greg, hopefully you can see what I mean, that like every time I add a string, I go back and tune again. So I'm just, especially for like these top 4 strings, they've gotten to sit there for, well, you can see this live stream's been going on forever, but they've got to sit there for half an hour without me messing with them, just slightly getting them up to that perfect pitch. Cool. So that's the whole deal. I put some adhesive tape inside the headstock to protect the mica, just in case I make a mistake. Yeah, I mean, that's an option. Also, it's a guitar. It's going to get dings. That's fine by me. So that's it, right? Pretty simple. Take all the strings off. Give it a little TLC with the lube. Wipe up some dirt, and throw them strings on. At this point, right? It's going to need a little bit more time for those strings to stay in perfect pitch. If I have the time, I'll just let it sit like this for a while before I start playing anything. But you can also, maybe push some pedals down. Just nothing too major at first if you can help it. You get that first string raise in there or something. And just go back and tune it again. I haven't had much trouble with these D'Addarios as far as like when I have had to just string and then go start playing. I haven't really had any trouble. So they can definitely do it. And maybe this is all just nonsense, me trying to baby it like this, but it doesn't hurt, Cool, guys. Any last questions? I appreciate all y'all coming out. I thought I would be doing this by myself. So yeah, glad y'all made it. So I'm not in Taos anymore. I'm in Austin now, Texas. So no snow down here, probably for the foreseeable future. Maybe some ice later. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you coming out, and maybe we can do this once a month or something. Maybe we can like do Zoom instead. I just wanted to try like the YouTube first, just to like see how many people would show up. Um, but it might be more fun having you guys having the option to have a camera and kind of show me what you're doing. Um, we can do it together. Um, anyway, guys, hope you have a good rest of your year and good luck changing those strings. All right. Bye. Yeah, you got it. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, you got it. See you later.